Ethan, what did you just say? Say it again. Olivia stared right through me, a playful, almost mocking smirk dancing on her lip. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable, terrifying weight. I crossed my arms, leaning hard against the sofa just to keep my damn legs from shaking. Swallowing the lump in my throat, I braced myself. We can't keep living like this. Olivia, let's get a divorce. I spat out those last 4 words with crystal clarity. So clearly, in fact, that our little girl instantly stopped chewing her apple. Her big, round eyes darted back and forth like a ping pong match. 1 second, she was staring wide-eyed at her mom. The next, she was locking on to me. With apple juice literally dripping from her tiny chin, I instantly recognized that look. My kid was absolutely eating up the drama. 3 years of playing the obedient stay-at-home husband, and here I was, dropping the D-bomb right on New Year's Eve. Clink. Olivia slowly set her glass of red wine onto the coffee table. It was just a small sound, but it felt like a sledgehammer slamming straight into my chest. She wore this sleek, dark green velvet robe, her hair tossed up into a messy bun, with loose strands framing her impossibly pale, ice-cold face. The heater had the living room feeling toasty, but with her collar slipped slightly open, the shadow dipping below her collarbone practically choked me. Seriously? My life was flashing before my eyes, and I was still getting distracted by my own wife. She didn't even blink as she looked up. Do you realize what day it is today, Ethan? It is New Year's Eve. I stiffened my neck, refusing to back down. I know. And I know your parents are pulling up any minute. But my parents are arriving any minute too. And yet, you choose tonight, of all nights, to bring up a divorce. She suddenly stood up. Without thinking, I stumbled a half step backward. Hey, don't get me wrong. That wasn't cowardice. It was a strategic, tactical retreat. Olivia was a solid half head shorter than me. But the second she stood up, I swear to God, I felt like the tiny one in the room. This woman was only 28, but she was an absolute apex predator. The sole heiress of the massive Stone Group empire. She was dominating negotiation tables at 18, running her own branch at 23, and by 27, she had skyrocketed their yearly revenue to $900 million. And then, there was me, Ethan, 27 years old, live-in husband for 3 years. My main job? Stay-at-home dad. My side hustle? Getting utterly micromanaged by my wife. I really didn't plan on dropping this bomb tonight. I fought like hell to keep my voice steady. I just feel like we don't have feelings for each other anymore. Olivia, it is better to rip the Band-Aid off now instead of dragging this fake marriage into next year. It is bad luck. She tilted her head. No feelings? She took a slow step forward. I took a panicked step back. 3 years ago, when you wrecked my Porsche Panamera and could not scrape together a dime to pay for it, what exactly did you say when you begged to be my fake boyfriend? That was then. This is now, I shot back stubbornly. Back then, you said. She started mimicking my voice, though her tone was pure ice. Miss Stone, please do not worry. My acting skills are top tier. I swear I will make your parents totally fall for it. Didn't we catch real feelings later anyway? But she didn't stop, pushing closer. The night we signed our marriage papers, you said. Wifey, sweet wifey, I promise I will treat you like an absolute queen for the rest of my life. If you ever regret it, just say the word, and I will pack up and leave without a single fuss. I was totally speechless. Yeah, okay, I definitely said all that garbage back then. But how the hell was I supposed to know she hid such a ruthless, terrifyingly domineering personality? And later she whispered, when I got pregnant, you made a promise right to my belly. She cornered me, her slender fingertip tapping lightly but dangerously against my chest. You promised that our daughter would take my last name and that you, Ethan, would not dare utter a single complaint. You swore that I was the supreme commander of this household, and that you would absolutely obey my every command. But that was the past. And now? She pulled her hand away, locking onto me with a lethal half smile. I have commanded you for 3 years, and suddenly, you think you have grown wings? You want to start a mutiny? I inhaled sharply. No, today, I was finally going to stand my ground. Olivia, please let us be reasonable, I pleaded, lowering my voice so our little girl wouldn't hear us arguing. For over a year now, I have to give you a full report just to step outside. I need your royal approval to hang out with my own buddies, and I survive on a sad little weekly allowance. I literally had to draft a formal request form just to buy a damn gaming console. I am 27, not 17. She stared blankly. And then, I have had enough. I couldn't stop my voice from rising. To you, I am just a punching bag, a freeloading boy toy who leeches off your billionaire status, right? Well, aren't you? That single response choked me so hard I completely forgot how to speak. She just tilted her head. Her expression was dead serious, as calm as if we were casually debating what to order for dinner. Being a live-in husband was your choice, Ethan. Refusing to work was your choice. Staying home to play house and raise our child was also a path you actively begged for. Ethan, you paved this road yourself, and now you are trying to blame me? I am not blaming you, I shouted back. I just feel like we aren't compatible. I stuttered out the words. Not compatible? Olivia finally laughed, but that dark, chilling sound sent a frozen shiver straight down my spine. It has been 3 years. Our daughter is already 3 years old, and now you are telling me we are not compatible? The living room fell into a dead, suffocating silence for 3 agonizing seconds. Suddenly, my little girl's sweet, innocent voice piped right up. Mommy, is Daddy about to get beaten up? Olivia and I both snapped our heads down at the exact same time. Lily had already finished chewing her apple. Clutching the core in her tiny hands, she tilted her little face upward, her eyes sparkling with pure excitement, looking completely eager for the drama to start. I cannot wait. Lily, sweetie, Olivia's sharp tones softened instantly. Go wash your hands now that you have finished your apple. But Daddy is not finished talking yet. The little girl did not budge an inch. She even scooted closer to the very edge of the sofa, finding the perfect, comfortable angle to watch the action unfold. Daddy, keep talking. I am listening. I felt a massive wave of absolute helplessness crash over me. This kid was definitely not on my side. Lily, go wash your hands first, I pleaded, desperately trying to salvage whatever dignity I had left as a father. Daddy and Mommy are discussing something. Discussing what? Grown-up business. Then I want to hear even more. She blinked her big eyes at us. Grandma said grown-up business is always the most exciting. Olivia and I exchanged a quick look, both of us understanding the situation immediately. Her mother, Karen, indeed had a terrible habit of saying wildly inappropriate things in front of the kid. Just last time, Lily had asked me what a freeloader meant, and I nearly died of sheer embarrassment right on the spot. Olivia looked right back at me. Are you absolutely sure you want to talk about this in front of the child? I hesitated. To be completely honest, I did not truly want a divorce. I had just been feeling completely suffocated for 3 long years, constantly reporting my whereabouts whenever I went out, begging for permission just to spend my own money, and having my friends thoroughly background checked. I even had to dress exactly how she wanted me to. Was I her husband? Or just some pet dog she was keeping on a tight leash? But I could not say any of these things in front of Lily. I squatted down, speaking in my most gentle tone. Lily, Daddy and Mommy need to talk privately for a little bit. Why don't you go to your room and watch some cartoons, okay? No, why not? Because you guys are going to fight. The little girl spoke up with absolute righteousness. I have to protect Mommy. I completely froze. Olivia's lips twitched, and she almost let out a laugh, but she forced herself to hold it all back. You are going to protect me? She looked down to ask our daughter. Yeah, Lily scrambled right up from the carpet, running over to wrap her tiny arms tightly around her mother's leg. Then she turned her little head to yell right at me. Daddy, you are not allowed to bully Mommy. Mommy is so skinny. She cannot beat you in a real fight. I pointed directly at my own nose. I am bullying her? With exactly which eye did you see me bullying her? I saw it with both of my eyes. The little girl argued back defensively. Just now, you made Mommy so angry she had to stand up, and you even backed away. You must have a guilty conscience. Olivia finally could not help but chuckle softly. That gentle chuckle felt like warm water, instantly softening my frustrated heart, but it was only for a brief, fleeting moment. I stood up straight. Fine, Lily. You protect Mommy. Can Daddy just leave then? No. What is it now? If you leave, who is going to read me bedtime stories? The little girl argued matter-of-factly. Mommy's stories are so boring. She sounds like she is reading a boring textbook. I almost burst out laughing on the spot, while Olivia's face went completely dark with annoyance. The bizarrely tense atmosphere eased up for a few quick seconds. Suddenly, the doorbell rang out loud. Your parents are here. I looked right at Olivia. She was looking right back at me too, with a deep emotion in her eyes that I could not quite decipher. Ethan, do not say anything stupid later. She picked up Lily and walked briskly toward the front entrance. Whatever this is, we can talk about it after they leave. I followed closely behind her, my heart beating unusually fast in my chest. The exact moment the door opened, a biting gust of cold wind rushed right in, carrying the distinct smell of firecrackers from downstairs. Richard Stone stood at the door, holding 2 high-end gift boxes of health supplement. Karen Stone, wearing 10-centimeter high heels, peered her head inside. Her sharp eyes locked onto me immediately. Ethan! Happy New Year! Happy New Year! She smiled with fake warmth. Oh my goodness, how did you get so terribly thin? Did Olivia restrict your meals again? I squeezed out a tight, awkward smile. Mom, no, I am doing quite well. As long as you are doing well. She changed her shoes and confidently strutted inside. Let me tell you, men really need to eat more. Your health is your absolute greatest asset. You are stuck taking care of the kid at home every single day, which is completely exhausting. If Olivia ever treats you too harshly, you just let me know. I will deal with her myself. I let out a couple of deeply awkward chuckles. Behind us, Olivia finally spoke up in an icy flat tone. Mom, what exactly have I restricted him from doing? Oh, I was just saying. Karen waved her hand dismissively. You are always getting so defensive. How could a loving mother ever want to hurt you? Richard Stone dropped his bags and shot me a look. I knew that cold glare way too well. He was sizing me up, inspecting me like I was a piece of cheap merchandise on clearance. The very first time I met the guy, 3 years ago, he gave me that exact same look, 3 whole years, and nothing had changed. Honestly, I could play the obedient live-in husband for 30 years, and to him, I'd still just be a bottom-tier son-in-law. I took a deep breath and muttered a quiet, yes, sir. He just nodded. How have things been lately? Pretty good. Then he hit me with, house, work? I froze. The old man knew damn well I was unemployed. Thank God Karen Stone swooped in for the save. Oh, Richard, come on, it's New Year's Eve. Why in the world are you bringing that up now? Richard didn't push it. He just parked himself on the couch and started scrolling on his phone, completely ignoring me. The whole room felt suffocatingly awkward. But then, little Lily wriggled out of Olivia's arms and pitter-pattered straight over to the couch. Grandpa, she cheered, and a massive smile finally broke through Richard's icy exterior. Oh, come here, my sweet little granddaughter. Did you bring me a present? She asked. We sure did, Karen chimed in, beating him to the punch. Grandma bought you a ton of new clothes and toys. They're still out in the car, so we'll just have Daddy go grab them in a bit. Daddy's gonna get them? Lily whipped her little head around to look right at me. I forced a smile and nodded. You bet. Daddy will go grab them in a sec. Olivia was already making her escape to the kitchen, mumbling something about getting the holiday dinner prepped. Karen quickly followed right behind to help her out. That just left me, Richard, and Lily alone in the living room. He played with my daughter for a few minutes before suddenly locking his deadpan eyes on me. Ethan, step out onto the balcony with me for a second. My heart totally skipped a beat, but I swallowed my panic and kept my face perfectly straight. All right, I left Lily inside and followed the boss out into the cold. The second that sliding door clicked shut, the freezing night air bit right through my clothes. The wind howled, rattling the potted plants like a bad omen. Smoke? Richard asked, offering me a cigarette. I took it without hesitating. Thanks. He sparked his up, then leaned over with the lighter for me. The silence dragged on forever until he finally dropped the bomb. Olivia told us you two have been bumping heads lately. I froze halfway through taking a drag. Are you kidding me? Olivia actually went and snitched to her parents? It's nothing, I blurted out on total reflex. Just some minor squabbles. He raised an eyebrow. Minor squabbles? Richard glared straight into my soul. Her mother called her, heard her crying, and pulled the truth right out of her. I shut my mouth and just focused on my cigarette. Ethan. Richard sighed, blowing a thick ring of smoke into the pitch-black night. Do you have any idea why I ever agreed to let a guy like you marry my Olivia? Back then, I played dumb and shook my head. Honestly, I knew exactly why, but there was no way I was saying it out loud. Because she loved you, he said, his harsh tone finally cracking just a little bit. She is my one and only little girl. Whatever she wants, I make sure she gets it. She told me it was you or nobody, so I bit my tongue and said yes. But tell me, in the 3 years you've been leeching off us as a live-in husband, have I ever actually made your life a living hell? No. Have I ever purposely given you a hard time? Honestly? Yeah, he kinda did. My hesitant silence made Richard let out this dry, bitter chuckle. I couldn't even tell if he was amused or just totally fed up with me. Those little moments of pressure were just tests, kid. Look, I've seen a million guys marry into money. Half of them are just chasing a payday. The other half actually love the girl. If they love the girl, I back off. But if they're just here for a free ride, I destroy them. Sooner or later, he locked eyes with me, his stare sharp as a knife. Dad, which one do you honestly think I am? 3 years of coasting by in my house, and you dropped the divorce bomb on New Year's Eve? He stared me down for a solid 10 seconds before crushing his cigarette straight into the ashtray. I honestly don't know, Ethan, he muttered. That is exactly why I'm asking you. What the hell is going on between you two? Man, I had no clue how to explain this mess. Do I tell him I felt trapped in a golden cage and just wanted my freedom? Do I admit that his precious daughter micromanaged my entire life until I couldn't even breathe? Or do I tell him I just wanted to be a real man for once, instead of their personal punching bag? Yeah, saying any of that out loud to this guy would strip away whatever pride I had left. It's really nothing. I finally forced the lie through my teeth. Just a stupid argument between a married couple. Really, don't worry about it, Dad. Richard studied my face for a heartbeat, then slowly nodded. Fine. If you want to keep your secrets, I won't pry. But I have one non-negotiable rule. Do not let my daughter shed another tear. With that, he spun around and walked right back into the warmth of the house. I just stood out there on the freezing balcony, finishing the last of my smoke. As the icy wind hit the back of my neck, it hit me. I was acting like an absolute idiot. A divorce? Seriously? If I actually walked away from this marriage, where the hell was I supposed to go? Was I really going back to some dumpy little studio apartment, busting my ass for a couple $1,000 a month? That wouldn't even cover basic rent anymore. Sure, Olivia held me on a painfully tight leash, but the crazy lifestyle she provided for Lily and me, most guys couldn't earn that in 3 damn lifetimes. But even knowing all that, the fire in my gut just wouldn't let me roll over and play the good little pet anymore. Right in the middle of our tense New Year's Eve dinner, my mother-in-law, Karen, dropped a total bombshell. Olivia, Lily is already 3 years old. She pushed. Have you two thought about having another baby? Olivia's chopsticks froze in midair. Mom, can we please just eat? She snapped coldly. Why do we have to talk about this at the dinner table? Unbothered, Karen dropped a piece of fish into Olivia's bowl. Just look at your father back in the day. He practically begged for another kid, but I stubbornly said no. Looking back now, I deeply regret it. Little Lily must be so incredibly lonely all by herself. Think about how wonderful it would be for her to have a little brother or sister to play with. Grandma, I absolutely do not want a little brother, Lily instantly whined, pouting her cheeks. A dumb brother would just steal all my toys. Karen chuckled. Then how about a sweet little sister? A sister would steal them too. Lily shot back. Well, what do you want then, sweetie? I want a puppy. Richard burst into laughter at that. Who in the world does this stubborn kid take after? Karen shot a warm glance my way, smiling gently. She takes after her dad, obviously. Ethan has such a sweet, gentle soul. He never fights, never complains, and never competes for a single thing. I hung my head low. A suffocating wave of bitter resentment twisting in my chest. A gentle soul? Never fighting? Never competing? That was a pathetic joke. I only acted like that because I had absolutely zero right to fight back. Mom, Olivia growled, slamming her chopsticks down. Drop it. We can discuss this later. Later. Literally everything is always later with you. Karen let out a heavy, disappointed sigh. You turn into a mindless workaholic the second you step into that office, completely neglecting your own family. It isn't exactly a walk in the park for Ethan to stay home and raise a toddler by himself, you know. Can't you show your husband just a tiny shred of decency? Olivia slowly turned her head, piercing me with an icy, downright venomous glare. Did he go crying to you behind my back? She hissed. No, not at all, I stammered out, frantically waving my hands. Mom is just making assumptions, Karen huffed. So what if I am? Karen's face hardened with pure annoyance. Anyone with eyes could read that miserable look on your face. It is the middle of the holidays, yet you are sitting there looking like a total storm cloud. If someone didn't know you, they would think we owed you $1 million. I sat there completely paralyzed, choking on my own words. Richard let out a loud, painfully awkward cough to break the tension. All right, let us just eat our food. But the floodgates were open, and there was no shutting Karen up now. Ethan, listen to me, she lectured. A real man needs to have thick skin. Stop sweating the small stuff and getting in your own head all day long. Sure, Olivia keeps you on a seriously tight leash, but she only does that because she deeply cares about you. Trust me, if she didn't give a damn, you could run wild and do whatever the hell you wanted. She wouldn't waste a second trying to micromanage your life. I gave a hollow, defeated nod. You are right, Mom. Exactly. So stop throwing childish tantrums and picking pointless fights with your wife, Karen pushed on. She is drowning in stress at the company, and then she has to come home just to deal with your bitter attitude. Do you have any idea how exhausting that is? Yes, I know, I muttered. Oh, and one more thing. If you ever feel like your measly monthly allowance is not cutting it, just come to me. I will slip you some cash on the down low. Just make sure Olivia never finds out. I honestly did not know whether to burst out laughing or start sobbing. Mom, I swear, it is really not about the money. Then what on earth is it about? Before I could answer, Olivia forcefully shoved her chair back. I am completely done eating, she announced coldly. You all take your time. Without another glance, she spun on her heel and marched straight for the master bedroom. Karen just blinked, completely bewildered. What the hell is her problem now? Richard deeply furrowed his brows. You really need to learn when to shut your mouth, Karen. Excuse me, what did I even say wrong? Before the argument could escalate, little Lily slid right off her chair. I am going to go check on Mommy, she chirped in her crisp, tiny voice. And with that, the little girl pitter-pattered across the floor, pushed open the heavy bedroom door, and stealthily slipped inside. That left the three of us adults trapped at a table, overflowing with a massive feast, completely paralyzed in dead silence. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. 5 agonizing minutes dragged by until the bedroom door violently swung wide open. Olivia stood dead center in the doorway, her ruthless gaze locked onto me like a sniper. Ethan, get in here, now. Her freezing tone left absolutely zero room for debate. Karen and Richard immediately snapped their eyes toward me in pity. Bracing myself for the slaughter, I shakily pushed up from my chair, my knees practically buckling as I dragged my feet toward the bedroom. The heavy door slammed shut right behind me, sealing my fate. Lily was casually sprawled out across the massive bed, fiercely hugging her stuffed doll. Her wide eyes were sparkling with sheer amusement, clearly grabbing a front row seat for the drama. Olivia towered by the edge of the bed, her arms tightly crossed over her chest. Get over here, she ordered, her voice absolute ice. I reluctantly stepped forward. Without warning, her hand shot up. I violently flinched, instinctively ducking my head like a beaten dog, fully bracing for a harsh slap. Instead, she just sharply jammed her perfectly manicured finger right into my chest. Slowly, mockingly, she dragged that single finger up my neck and forcefully tilted my chin, making me stare dead into her intimidating, pitch-black eyes. Ethan. Her voice dropped into a dangerous, deadly whisper that only the two of us could hear. Are you absolutely dead set on humiliating me today? I am not trying to make trouble. I desperately stammered out, but my throat completely closed up, killing the rest of my sentence. You just what? She taunted, a twisted smirk playing on her lips. Have your little wings finally grown in? Are you itching to fly away from me? I locked my jaw, my neck completely stiffening as I refused to say another word. Suddenly, a dark, hollow laugh escaped her lips. There wasn't a single ounce of warmth in that sound, sending a terrifying, icy shiver straight down my spine. Fine, I will gladly give you the chance you want. Lily is sitting right here. Be a real man and say it right to your daughter's face. Do you truly want a divorce? My heart plummeted as I slowly turned to look at little Lily. The innocent girl just tilted her tiny head, looking completely and utterly confused by the nightmare unfolding in front of her. Yet she looked like she saw right through my soul, understanding every single thing. She just stood there, staring at me in absolute dead silence. I opened my mouth, but my throat tightened up so hard I couldn't utter a single word. Olivia took a step forward, closing the distance until she was standing completely flush against me. Her warm breath brushed softly against my cheek as she whispered, Ethan, do you know what pisses me off the most about you? It's the way you always try so hard to act tough, but you can never actually find the guts to follow through. You always look like you're dying to throw a massive tantrum, but you're just way too embarrassed to actually pull the trigger. I don't do that, I shot back, my voice laced with pure anxiety. Oh, you don't? She fired back, raising her hand to grab my collar and forcefully yanking me down toward her level. She leaned in incredibly close to my ear. Her voice dropped so low it almost sounded like she was flirting, yet the actual words made my entire body run absolutely ice cold. If you really want out of this marriage, you sign the divorce papers right here, right now, and you walk away with absolutely nothing. Lily stays with me, and you'll be paying child support every single month without fail. Can you even manage that? Can you actually do it, Ethan? She challenged me one more time, a heavy trace of bitter mockery laced in her tone. I took a deep breath, but right as I was about to speak up, Lily's tiny voice suddenly echoed from the bed. Mommy, please don't bully Daddy. Olivia instantly let go of my collar and turned her head to look at our daughter, her icy tone softening by several degrees. Wait, you think I'm bullying him? The little girl sat up, tightly clutching her stuffed doll, and declared in total seriousness, Daddy looks like he's about to cry. No, I'm not. I hurriedly defended myself, even though my face was burning hot with embarrassment. Daddy, don't be scared. Lily gestured for me to come over to her. Come here, I'll protect you. Olivia looked right at me, a sharp flicker of amusement flashing in her eyes. But that smirk clearly communicated one brutal message. See? Even your 3-year-old daughter can tell you really are nothing but a pathetic punching bag. Hearing that unspoken insult, a sudden, explosive surge of fiery anger flared up deep inside my chest. I was partly furious at her, but mostly disgusted with myself. I, Ethan, was 27 years old, standing at 5'10". Yet here I was, being completely cornered in my own bedroom by a woman. And to make matters worse, even my 3-year-old daughter was calling me out, saying I looked like a weakling who was about to burst into tears. Was I even a real man anymore? I aggressively took a step backward, putting some much-needed distance between us, and let my voice rise in defiance. Olivia, you're absolutely dead set on backing me into a corner tonight, aren't you? She just raised her eyebrows, totally unfazed. You think I'm backing you into a corner? Yes, you're deliberately making me lose face right in front of our own kid. Aren't you just trying to force me to back down like a coward and admit defeat? Oh, I definitely want to see you admit defeat. She let out a painfully cold sneer. Ethan, search your damn conscience. Over these past 3 years, when have I ever made you lose face in front of our daughter? Tonight, you were the one who suddenly brought up getting a divorce. You were the one acting like a child and throwing a massive tantrum. So tell me, how exactly am I the one backing you into a corner? I was left utterly speechless. Because damn it, she was telling the absolute truth. If you really want a divorce, fine, I've already laid out my terms. Can you actually accept them? She stared right through me, her eyes completely overflowing with heavy disappointment. You can't, can you? If you don't have the guts to do it, then just shut up. With those crushing words, she whipped around and walked straight toward the bedroom door. Acting on pure instinct, I suddenly reached out and tightly grabbed her by the wrist. She instantly halted her steps and shot a sharp glare back at me. But in that exact split second, I caught a fleeting trace of profound, overwhelming exhaustion hiding deep within her eyes. It wasn't burning anger. It wasn't bitter contempt. It was just genuine, heavy, bone-deep exhaustion. Seeing that, I suddenly found myself completely at a total loss for words. Let me go. Her voice was razor sharp, but I refused to let go. She gave a hard yank, but she couldn't pull herself free from my desperate grip. Ethan, I told you to let go of me. Her tone carried way more threatening weight this time, but I stubbornly held my ground and still didn't let go. The entire bedroom plunged into a suffocating, dead silence, where only the soft sound of Lily's breathing felt exceptionally loud. After a few tense seconds, Lily's sweet voice piped up once again. Daddy, Mommy, are you guys about to kiss? Hearing that, Olivia and I absolutely froze in our tracks at the exact same time. That's how it always happens on the TV shows. The little girl analyzed with absolute seriousness. The uncle and auntie get into a big fight. Then the uncle grabs the auntie, and then they kiss, and finally they make up. I awkwardly locked eyes with Olivia, and she just stared right back at me with wide eyes. The heavy, suffocating atmosphere suddenly turned incredibly comical. Olivia forcefully shook off my hand, marched over, scooped up Lily, and declared as she stormed out, "Come on, let's go find Grandma. But wait, Daddy hasn't kissed you yet. We're definitely not kissing right now. But why not? Because he simply doesn't have the guts to." I just stood there, staring at the retreating figures of my wife and daughter, when my voice suddenly broke the silence. Olivia, wait. She abruptly stopped dead in her tracks, but she refused to turn around. It's not that I don't dare to kiss you. What was I even trying to say? Did I just feel like I was completely unworthy of her? Or did I just mean that I had felt totally suffocated over these past 3 torturous years? Or deep down, did I really just desperately want her back? Honestly, even I myself had no damn clue. The right words rushed to the very tip of my tongue, but in the end, I cowardly swallowed them all back down. She stood there, frozen, waiting in silence for a few agonizing seconds, and when absolutely no explanation came from my mouth, she just aggressively pushed the bedroom door open and walked right out. I stood there completely paralyzed, listening to Karen's muffled voice echoing from the hallway. Hey, what's going on here? Why is Lily out of bed? Mom, can you guys just take Lily to watch some TV for a little bit? Olivia's exhausted voice softly drifted back into the empty room. I need a private word with him. Talk about what in the middle of New Year's Eve? Mom, Olivia's tone carried a sharp hint of impatience, and Karen instantly clamped her mouth shut. A few tense seconds later, the bedroom door swung open again. Olivia stepped back inside, reaching behind her to secure the lock with a sharp click. Now, it was truly just the two of us trapped in that room. She leaned coolly against the door, her eyes locked on me, while I stood frozen at the foot of the bed, staring right back. The muffled popping of distant firecrackers drifted in from outside the window. Someone upstairs was blasting fireworks into the night sky. An explosive burst of color sliced through the curtain gaps, painting her face in a chaotic dance of neon light and deep shadows. The shifting glow actually seemed to soften her icy glare for a split second. "Ethan," she murmured, her voice losing its usual sharp edge. "What is it that you actually want?" I opened my mouth, only to choke on the bitter realization that I didn't have an answer. Did I crave freedom? But the luxurious cage she built for me offered way more freedom than I could ever earn on my own. Was I desperate for dignity? But over these past 3 years, aside from keeping me on a suffocating leash, she had never once humiliated me in front of outsiders. Did I just want to be a regular guy? But what did normal even mean anymore? Cramming into a packed subway every morning, grinding away at a desk until midnight, drowning in mortgage payments and car loans, arguing with grocery vendors over a few cents? Was that kind of soul-crushing grind really considered normal? I don't know, I finally choked out in a whisper. She stared at me, suddenly letting out a heavy, tired sigh. Then, step by agonizing step, she closed the distance between us. Stopping right in my personal space, she reached up and gently brushed my cheek. Her fingertips were freezing, yet the touch was shockingly tender. "Ethan," she breathed. "Do you honestly think I keep you on such a tight leash because I look down on you?" I didn't say a damn word, which was basically a loud, silent confession. "I do it because I'm terrified you'll run away." Her voice cracked, dropping into a fragile whisper I had never heard from her before. "A long time ago, my dad almost abandoned us for another woman. While my mom was pregnant with me, he was busy playing house with someone else on the side. The only reason he stayed was because the mistress was just hunting for a payday, and he finally figured it out. But that betrayal shattered my mom, and she carried the scar for the rest of her life." I froze. She had never confessed anything like this to me before. "That's why," she said, looking up at me as tears pooled in her eyes, "I'm so afraid. I'm terrified that if I loosen my grip even a fraction of an inch, you're going to run away. I'm scared that if I give you too much freedom, you won't want me anymore. I'm terrified that when Lily grows up, she'll ask me where her daddy went." She let out a brief, bitter little smile. "Do you think I'm completely pathetic? The untouchable heiress of the Stone Group, the woman who never loses at the negotiating table, actually spends every single day paralyzed by the fear that her husband will abandon her." My heart ached. I reached out and pulled her fiercely into my arms. She stiffened for a second, then slowly melted against me, burying her face in my chest as her shoulders trembled. "I won't run away, I promised." My voice barely a whisper, but rock solid. "But you were just demanding a divorce. That was just me losing my mind." She tilted her head up to look at me, tears shimmering brightly in her eyes, though she refused to let them fall. "Ethan, if you ever dare to run away, I will literally break your legs." I smiled, raising a hand to gently wipe the dampness from the corners of her eyes. "That brutal? Try me and find out." "I wouldn't dare." I leaned down and pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. She didn't pull away, she just closed her eyes, her eyelashes fluttering softly against my skin. Right on cue, a firework exploded outside the window, its brilliant flash cutting through the curtains and lighting up half the bedroom. Just as I leaned in for another taste, a series of frantic, loud bangs rattled the door. "Daddy, Mommy, are you guys done in there yet?" Lily's voice pierced right through the romantic tension. "Grandma says it's time to light the fireworks." Olivia scrambled out of my embrace, quickly smoothing down her hair, a deep, flustered blush still burning on her cheeks. She hurried over and swung the door wide open. Lily stood right there, her little face tilted up as she sized us both up with suspicious eyes. "Did you guys just kiss?" Olivia's face turned 3 shades redder. She let out an awkward little cough. "Kids shouldn't ask so many questions." "So that means you totally kissed," the little girl declared with absolute certainty. Then she waved her tiny hand at me. "Daddy, get out here. Listen, I need to tell you something." I slowly dropped down into a squat. She leaned right into my ear, whispering in what she thought was a super quiet voice. But honestly, in that dead silent living room, it echoed loud enough for literally everyone to hear. "Next time Mommy is mean to you, just kiss her. It works like a total charm." Olivia's face instantly burned a bright tomato red. Across the room, Karen totally lost it and burst out laughing. I just scooped up Lily and made my exit. But as I brushed past Olivia, she reached out and gave my waist a brutal pinch. Oh, it definitely stung, but I didn't even flinch. I just flashed her a knowing smirk. The New Year's Eve dinner rolled right along. The TV blasted the cheerful, festive sounds of the Spring Festival Gala, filling the whole room with life. Lily was all snuggled up in my arms, completely glued to her cartoons, occasionally pointing at the screen and squealing. Meanwhile, Karen and Richard leaned casually against the balcony railing, keeping their voices low as they chatted, their eyes fixed on the brilliant fireworks exploding outside. Olivia sat glued to my side. Her hand rested gently on my leg, absent-mindedly massaging it every now and then. I glanced down at her. She refused to look up, but the corners of her mouth were secretly curling into the softest little smile. "What are you staring at?" she murmured. "You," I replied. "Aren't you worth looking at?" "Yes." She finally lifted her gaze and shot me a sideways glance, her voice dripping with this adorable, playful annoyance. Then who was the idiot talking about wanting a divorce just a minute ago? I was just losing my mind, I admitted. Oh? Going to lose it again next time? Her hand gave my leg another vicious little pinch. Next time. I leaned right into her ear, dropping my voice to a husky whisper. Next time, I'll just shut you up with a kiss. No more talking. Her ears instantly turned violently red, and she shot up from the sofa like a rocket. I'm going to go serve the soup, she stammered. Watching her flustered silhouette hurry away, I suddenly realized something. All my past resentment, that stupid urge to pack up and run away, it was completely ridiculous. So what if my wings had grown and I wanted to fly? Where the hell was I even trying to fly to? This life, it was actually pretty damn great. Boom, another massive firework erupted right outside the window. Gorgeous and dazzling. Lily squealed from my lap. Daddy, look quick. It's so pretty. I looked up at the night sky, completely washed in radiant, flowing colors. Right then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out to check. It was a text message from Olivia. Tonight, once Lily is asleep, we need to have a proper talk. Talk about what? I typed back. Talk about exactly how you're going to kiss me. Staring blankly at that bold line of text, I suddenly felt like, yeah, I could easily survive this marriage for another 3 years. At exactly 9:47 p.m., Lily finally crashed. I was lying totally flat next to her toddler bed, half my body completely numb, absolutely terrified to move even a single inch. This little monster had absolutely insisted on bedtime stories. Even after sitting through 3 full books, she flat out refused to sleep. In the end, I had to totally improvise some crazy story about a flying elephant just to finally knock her out. She then claimed my arm as her personal pillow and passed out for a solid half hour. Suddenly, the phone in my pocket vibrated. I painfully, carefully slid my arm out. Lily rolled over, sleepy gibberish spilling from her mouth. Elephant. Don't run. Don't run. As she drifted back into a deep sleep, I let out a massive sigh of relief, whipped out my phone, and texted Olivia. Lily is out cold. Just fell asleep. Olivia fired back with just 2 simple words. Come here. But as I stared at those 2 tiny words, my heart did this crazy, inexplicable flip. She said, come here. Not come to the bedroom. Not come here for a sec. Just come here. Sharp, bossy, and leaving 0 room for argument, exactly like how she usually ordered me around. But tonight, that come here carried a totally different, electric vibe. I shoved my phone back into my pocket, got up on my tiptoes, tucked Lily in nice and snug, and dimmed the little bedside nightlight to its absolute lowest setting. The kid was sleeping totally splayed out, still death gripping her favorite plushie. That doll was named Fat Tiger, a brilliant nickname she came up with all on her own, literally just because it looked like a super chubby tiger. I tiptoed out of the kid's room, clicking the door gently shut behind me. The living room was pitch black now, with only the bright flashes of fireworks exploding outside the floor-to-ceiling windows lighting up the space. Karen and Richard were crashed in the guest room. There wasn't a single crack of light coming from under their door, so they had to be dead to the world by now too. The entire house was so incredibly quiet you could literally hear the wall clock ticking away. I made my way to the master bedroom door. It was left slightly cracked open, a warm, inviting yellow glow spilling out into the hallway. I reached out, took a breath, and pushed the door open. The very second it opened, I was hit with the intoxicating scent of her favorite perfume, but it wasn't her usual sharp daytime scent. It was her special bedtime fragrance, way softer, sweeter, and infinitely warmer. What was it even called again? Fleur de Peau or whatever? Honestly, I couldn't remember the fancy name. All I knew was that every single time this scent hit my lungs, my brain instantly short-circuited. And there was Olivia, casually leaning right against She was propped up against the headboard, tapping away on her tablet like she was crushing corporate emails. She'd swapped her everyday clothes for a deep wine-red silk set that made her pale skin practically glow. Her hair fell in soft waves over her shoulders, with a few strands resting perfectly against her collarbone. She flicked a cold glance my way, then immediately went back to her screen. Lock the door, she ordered. I reached behind my back, turning the lock with a click, and just stood there awkwardly by the bed, completely out of my depth. Normally, when I dragged myself into the bedroom, I'd just crash straight onto the mattress, but tonight was different. Why are you just standing there? She muttered without even looking up. Come sit down. I walked around the bed and took a seat. She kept swiping at her tablet, acting like she was closing some $1 million deal. I just stared at her flawless profile, waiting for the storm to hit. 2 agonizing minutes ticked by in total silence. I couldn't take it anymore. Didn't you say you wanted to talk? Yes. Talk about what? She finally put the tablet down and locked eyes with me. Her gaze was impossible to read. It wasn't harsh, but it wasn't warm either. She was completely dissecting me. Ethan, she started, what you said in the living room today. Did you mean it? My blood ran cold. She was talking about the divorce. No, God, no, I backpedaled immediately. I just lost my mind for a second. A second of madness makes you drop those kinds of words? She asked sharply. Do you have any idea how I felt when I heard the word divorce? How did it feel? I swallowed hard, keeping my voice low. She reached out, pressing a manicured finger right against my chest. It felt like someone drove a knife straight through my heart. Olivia, let me finish. No, she interrupted, pulling her hand away. I, Olivia Stone, have gotten every single thing I've ever wanted since I was a little girl. I don't blink twice at ruthless corporate rivals. But when you dropped those two words today, I panicked. Her voice was terrifyingly calm, stripped of all emotion, but that deadpan delivery felt like a ton of bricks crushing my chest. In that moment, I actually wondered. She continued, am I controlling you too much? Can you really not take it anymore? Do you truly just want out? No, I said, grabbing her hand before I lost my nerve. It's really not like that. She stared at me, leaving her hand in mine but offering zero comfort. Then why say it? Just what? I took a massive breath. I just feel suffocated. Her eyebrows shot up. Suffocated? Yeah. We were already past the point of no return, so I wasn't going to hide anything or hold back anymore. It's been 3 years. I have to report every time I leave the house, beg for permission to spend a dime, and run background checks on my friends just to get your okay. You pick out my outfits, and you practically shove my diet plan down my throat. Olivia, I'm your husband, not your pet. She went completely silent for a few heavy seconds. Then she scoffed. Just because of those things? Is that not enough? She shook her head. Ethan, use that brain of yours. Why do you think I keep you on such a tight leash? Because you don't trust me. True, but that's not the whole reason. She pulled her hand free and leaned back. I don't trust you because I'm terrified you'll run off. But why do you think I'm so scared of that? Because of the massive debt my dad left? No, that's just a bonus reason. Then what the hell else is there? She looked at me, a sudden breathy laugh escaping her lips. You honestly have no clue, do you? Clue about what? Have you looked in a mirror lately? I blinked, totally thrown off. She reached out, pinching my chin and forcing my face toward her. If this pretty face hit the open market, do you have any idea how many women would be hunting you down? The day we met, you keyed my luxury ride, and your face was dead pale from pure terror. I was ready to ruin your entire life. But the second you looked up at me with those eyes, I couldn't even yell. She let go of my chin. Right then, I literally thought, screw it, he's too gorgeous to scold. A startled laugh actually ripped out of my throat. Wait, so you just fell for my face? Yup, she answered, without an ounce of shame. I was utterly obsessed with your looks. Is that a crime? No, I mean, it's not illegal, it's just what? Did you really think I, Olivia Stone, would buy myself a live-in husband for any other reason? My jaw practically hit the floor. I was totally speechless. She smirked. I pick your clothes because you look breathtaking in casual wear. I'm not letting you wear a suit and look like every other corporate drone out there. And I track where you go, because the second you step outside, every single person on the street wants a piece of you. I keep a tight leash on who you hang out with because your so-called friends are nothing but leeches. What was the name of that deadbeat who borrowed $30,000 and completely vanished? She cut me off before I could even explain. King, or whatever his name was? Are you still talking to him? I snapped my mouth shut. Ethan, her tone suddenly went soft. I manage you because I actually care about you. It is not about looking down on you. I just see right through people, and I am terrified someone is going to steal you away from me. I stared at her, and just like that, the heavy, suffocating feeling in my chest completely melted away. Then, could you maybe loosen your grip on me? Just a little bit? I asked cautiously. Just a tiny bit? She mulled it over. Fine. My eyes instantly lit up. Wait, really? I gasped. She nodded. Starting tomorrow, you do not have to report your every move before you leave the house. Seriously? You just need to shoot me a quick text on WeChat to keep me in the loop. How is that any different from reporting my whereabouts? She caught my deadpan look and laughed out loud. What? Still not satisfied? It is not that I am ungrateful. It is just, I want actual freedom. She raised a questioning eyebrow at me. Ethan, what exactly does freedom look like to you? Going wherever I want, seeing whoever I want, and doing whatever the hell I want. Yeah, something like that. She gave a slow nod, reached over for her phone, tapped the screen a few times, and shoved it right in my face. I took it and took a look. It was her bank statement. Do you have any idea how much money you burned through last month? She challenged me. I stared at the glaring number on the screen and swallowed hard. 23,000. I just bought a few shirts, grabbed some toys for Lily, and treated the guys to dinner. How did it rack up to that much? And that does not even include the groceries or household bills, she pointed out. That is just your personal allowance. Ethan, if you actually went out and got a job, how much do you think you would bring home in a month? Would it even put a dent in your spending habits? Look, I am not complaining about the money. She snatched the phone back. I just need you to wake up and realize that your precious freedom comes with a hefty price tag. I am the one funding this comfortable little life of yours. If you want to spread your wings and fly, I will not stand in your way, but you better make sure those wings are strong enough to carry you first. I went dead silent. She was right. It was a brutal pill to swallow, but it was the cold, hard truth. Of course, her tone shifted, softening again. You could always go get a job. I have never once stopped you or forbidden you from working. You were the one who made the choice to stay home and raise our kid. That was because. Well, because. Because what? She pressed. Because I actually wanted to be there to watch Lily grow up. I shot back. Growing up, my dad worked crazy overtime every single day. I only saw him a handful of times a year. I refused to let Lily go through that same kind of childhood. She looked up at me, and the ice in her eyes completely melted. Gently, she reached out and caressed my cheek. You chose this path for yourself, so you have to own it and walk it to the very end. If you start feeling trapped, just talk to me, and we can figure out a compromise. But do not ever throw around the word divorce over every little thing, okay? I gave a slow nod. Okay. She smiled, and that single smile washed away whatever heaviness was left in my chest. The whole vibe in the room instantly shifted. I honestly could not tell if she had leaned in closer, or if I was the one leaning toward her. Either way, the space between us practically vanished. The intoxicating scent of her perfume washed over me. Olivia, I whispered. My voice came out thick and raspy. Earlier, you mentioned something about teaching me how to kiss. She raised a playful eyebrow. Wow, so impatient. It is not that I am impatient, it is just. Just what? She teased. I cut off the excuses and just leaned down, capturing her lips. To my surprise, she did not pull away. Instead, she threw her arms around my neck and pulled me in closer. This kiss felt totally different from our usual routine. Usually, we just traded quick little pecks like a polite good morning, a quick good night, or a stolen second of affection when Lily was not watching. But tonight, this one went on for what felt like forever. It was so intense, we only finally broke apart when my lungs were screaming for air. She stared up at me, a glassy, mesmerizing shimmer in her eyes. I could not tell if she was just out of breath or if something much deeper was going on. Ethan, she whispered softly, do you have any idea why I actually called you in here tonight? No. Why? My heart was practically hammering out of my chest. Why? Instead of answering, she just reached over and dimmed the bedside lamp until the room was covered in shadows. Then, she leaned in dangerously close, her warm lips brushing right against my ear. What do you think? My breath hitched in my throat, but a split second later, she ruined the mood. Lily just fell asleep. If she wakes up in the middle of the night, she is going to come looking for us. So, definitely not happening tonight. I stared at her, totally clueless as to whether she was playfully teasing me or being dead serious. Her face was stone cold, serious. Then what exactly did you call me in here for? She burst out laughing and leaned back against the pillows. I brought you in here to finally set the record straight and to see if you are actually done trying to run away from me. I am not running away. Prove it. How the hell am I supposed to prove it? She pretended to think about it, then suddenly reached out and shoved me hard onto my back. Before I could even react, she straddled me, pinning me to the bed and staring down at me with an absolute look of dominance. Ethan, she whispered, a dangerous kind of heat in her voice. If you ever dare run away from me, I swear I'll. But before she could finish her threat, a frantic pounding shattered the moment. Daddy! Mommy! Lily's high-pitched voice sliced right through the door, dripping with absolute toddler panic. Olivia and I froze, stiff as boards. Daddy! Mommy! Open the door! Fat Tiger fell under the bed. Olivia slowly looked down at me, her expression an absolute masterpiece of frustration and disbelief. I couldn't hold it back and just burst out laughing. She shot me a lethal glare, rolled off my chest, yanked her pajamas straight, and marched over to yank open the door. The second the door swung wide, there stood our little Lily in her tiny pajamas, clutching her doll, her little face completely crumpled in misery. Fat Tiger fell down, and I can't reach him. Olivia took a long, deep breath. Hold on, sweetie. Mommy will go get him for you." She threw a sharp glance over her shoulder at me, a look that screamed loud and clear, "We are finishing this later." I just laid there staring at the ceiling, chuckling at how this kid truly had a sixth sense for ruining perfectly good moments. By the time we finally rescued Fat Tiger and restored peace to the galaxy, it was creeping up on 11 o'clock. Lily absolutely insisted I tell her the flying elephant story all over again from the top. When I finally finished, she was hugging that plush tiger in a total death grip, refusing to let go. Ultimately, Olivia and I had to tag team the bedtime routine, coaxing her until she finally drifted off, allowing us to quietly sneak out of her room. Olivia shot me a sideways glance. "Still want to continue?" I checked the time, then looked right back into her eyes. Her face played it cool, deadpan as ever, but there was a dangerous, playful spark dancing in her eyes. "Hell yes," I said. The literal second the bedroom door clicked locked behind us, she shoved me hard right against the wood. "Ethan," she murmured, stepping in agonizingly close. "Did you do that on purpose tonight?" "Do what on purpose?" "Wake Lily up on purpose." "I swear I didn't." She studied my face for a few tense seconds, then let out a soft laugh. "I doubt you'd have the guts anyway." I opened my mouth to defend myself, but she completely silenced me with a sudden forceful kiss. This time, the heat was dialed way past where we left off. I immediately brought my hands up, desperately wrapping them around her waist. Those expensive silk pajamas of hers were so insanely slick, my hands almost slid right off her hips. I lost all track of time before she finally pulled back, her breath coming in ragged, heavy pants. "Olivia, don't speak." She dragged me toward the edge of the bed. But the second my knees hit the mattress, my phone exploded into ringing. Not a text, not a notification, an actual blaring phone call. Who in the world calls at this hour? I yanked it out to check, and the caller ID flashed. Brian King. Olivia saw the screen too, her brows instantly pinching together in disgust. "Is that the same friend who borrowed $30,000 and ghosted you?" I swallowed hard, feeling a wave of guilt, but a call this late practically screamed emergency. "Answer it," she commanded flatly. I hit accept, and before I could get a single word out, Brian's frantic voice blasted through the speaker. "Ethan, bro, you gotta save me." Olivia crossed her arms, her icy glare practically freezing the room. I braced myself. "What's wrong?" "I got into a massive car wreck. I'm stuck at the police station. Can you please come down here?" I shot a nervous glance over at Olivia. Her face was an unreadable, stone-cold mask. "Brian, I am literally begging you on my knees. Man, I have zero options left. The other guy wants $30,000 to settle this out of court, and I don't have that kind of cash. Just spot me 30,000, and I swear on my life I'll pay you back tomorrow." I stood there in dead silence for 2 agonizing seconds. "Which precinct are you at?" After ending the call, I slowly turned my eyes back to my wife. Her expression hadn't shifted an inch. No rage, no sympathy, just terrifying calm. "Olivia, go ahead," she said simply. I blinked, totally thrown off. "You're actually letting me go?" "Yes." "Seriously? Seriously? Are you sure?" Without missing a beat, she pivoted, yanked my heavy coat out of the closet, and shoved it right into my chest. "Doesn't he need 30,000? I'll wire you the funds right now. Go handle your business. But while you're at it, you make absolutely sure you drag that previous $30,000 out of him too." I gripped the coat, half expecting this to be a trap. "You're not furious?" She locked eyes with me, and a slow, devastating smile spread across her face. "Ethan, I literally just told you, starting tomorrow, you are a free man. You don't ever have to report your whereabouts to me before heading out." I lowered my voice, thoroughly confused. "Yeah, but it's way past 11 o'clock at night. And what exactly is the issue with it being past 11? She arched a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "You're 27, Ethan, not 17. I trust you can handle the dark. But there is one non-negotiable condition. Name it. The absolute second you're done, you come straight back to this bed. No getting drinks with him." I nodded immediately. Her eyes narrowed as she added, "Also, he pays back that initial 30,000 tonight. If he doesn't cough it up, you don't bother coming back either." A smirk broke through my tension. "Damn, that cruel?" "It's not cruelty," she fired back softly. She stepped right into my space, gracefully lifting her hands to smooth down the lapels of my coat. "It's sending a very clear message. I want him to know that borrowing money from a man who belongs to Olivia Stone comes with a very heavy price." I just stared at her, my heart suddenly hammering with an intense rush of affection and pride. "Olivia? Thank you." She completely froze, a faint blush breaking her icy facade before she quickly looked away. "Shut up and cut the cheesy crap. Just go handle this mess and hurry back to me." I leaned down, pressing a deep kiss to her lips. This time, she didn't even try to dodge it. After I got dressed and had my hand on the front doorknob ready to rush out, her voice stopped me dead in my tracks. Ethan. I looked back over my shoulder. She was standing there in the entryway, the warm golden hallway light spilling over her, illuminating that deep wine-red silk pajama set, suddenly making my fierce, untouchable wife look breathtakingly soft and vulnerable. "Drive safely," she whispered, her gaze lingering. I just nodded, feeling the heavy weight of her word. Even as the elevator door slid shut, I could see her silhouette framed in the doorway, watching me leave. By the time I finally pulled up to the precinct, the clock had already struck midnight. I found Brian cowering in the hallway, his face a bruised, pathetic mess. The second he saw me, he looked like he was ready to bawl his eyes out. "Ethan, man, you're finally here." I just stared down at him, my brows knitting together. What the hell happened? I drove drunk and smashed into someone's ride. "A DUI? My voice spiked, echoing down the hall. "Are you out of your mind? I know I messed up, man. I know I screwed up bad." He desperately clawed at my sleeve. "The other guy wants $34,000, or they're pressing charges." "Ethan, please, you gotta help me. I can't afford a criminal record, man." Staring at his pathetic face, Olivia's cold, hard truth suddenly echoed in my mind. "Every single guy in that little friend group of yours just wants to leech off you." "Brian," I muttered, coldly shoving his clinging hands away. "When exactly are you paying back that $30,000 you already owe me?" He completely froze, his eyes going wide. "Dude, look what time it is. You're seriously bringing that up right now?" "I'm bringing it up exactly because of what time it is." I glared right through him, my voice turning to ice. "You pay me back that $30,000 right now, and I'll help you cover this mess. But if you don't, I'm not lifting a damn finger to save you." "Ethan, man, What?" I cut in. "Just because I became a live-in husband and happen to live off my wealthy wife, you think my cash isn't real money anymore?" I completely cut off his excuses. "That $30,000 was the allowance I scraped together for over half a year. You begged for a loan, and I wired it to you instantly. Yet you just keep stalling and making excuses. Brian, we've been bros for years. Is this really how you treat a brother?" He opened his mouth, but completely choked on his words, utterly silenced by the truth. After a tense, suffocating silence, he finally yanked out his phone. "Fine, I'll pay it back. I'll transfer it right now." The second the transfer hit my account, I turned around and helped him cover the $30,000. By the time the dust finally settled, it was pushing 2 o'clock in the morning. Stepping out into the cool night air, Brian scrambled after me. "Ethan, seriously, man, thank you so much for bailing me out. And about that $30,000, don't even mention it," I said, waving him off dismissively. "Just lay off the booze from now on. Call me if anything else goes wrong. Are you going to be okay heading back? Is your wife going to chew you out for this?" I shot him a sideways glance, suddenly fighting the urge to burst out laughing. Angry? If Olivia were actually furious, he'd probably be drinking out of a straw in an ICU right now instead of walking around unharmed. "It's totally fine," I reassured him. "She was actually the one who told me to come." Brian just stood there, completely dumbfounded, before looking at me with a thoroughly defeated, complicated expression. "Ethan, you really are a lucky son of a gun." I just gave a faint, knowing smirk, walking away without a word. On the quiet drive back, Olivia's voice just wouldn't leave my head. "I only manage you because I care about you." For the longest time, I was convinced her iron-fisted control meant she looked down on me as some pathetic freeloader. But looking back on it all now, I was just being incredibly dense and narrow-minded. If she genuinely thought I was beneath her, she never would have chosen to marry me in the first place. If she honestly just saw me as some pretty piece of home decor, she wouldn't give a damn about my shady friends or the clothes on my back. The truth hit me like a truck. She was simply terrified of losing me. Just like she confessed, the trauma of that awful mess with her father had haunted her for her entire life. Easing the front door open, I stepped inside on tiptoes. The warm glow of the living room light was still flickering. There was Olivia, curled up on the sofa, fast asleep under a thick blanket. The TV was still running in the background, a late-night movie playing on a whisper-quiet volume so it wouldn't disturb the silence. I quietly walked over and crouched down, just taking in her peaceful, sleeping face. Her unbelievably long lashes cast soft, delicate shadows beneath her closed eyes. Her lips were slightly pursed in an adorable little pout, leaving me wondering just what kind of dream she was lost in. When she let her guard down and sleep, all that cold, intimidating distance just melted away. "Olivia." I whispered her name, but she didn't even stir. Gently, I reached out to scoop her up and carry her to bed. But the very second my fingers brushed her skin, Her eyes snapped wide open. For a split second, there was a hazy, dizzy look of panic in her eyes, but she instantly snapped back into full alertness. "You're back?" she mumbled, sitting up as the blanket slid off her delicate shoulders. "Is it handled?" "Yeah, it's all handled. Did you get your money back?" "Got every cent back," I assured her. She gave a satisfied nod, stifling a tiny yawn. "All right, let's go to bed then." She stood up and started padding toward our room, and I followed right behind. Acting on pure instinct, I suddenly reached out and wrapped my arms tight around her waist from behind. She froze in her tracks, completely startled. "What on earth is this for?" she asked softly. "Thank you," I murmured. "Thank you for what?" "Thank you for trusting me enough to let me go out tonight." The air was thick with silence for a few heartbeats, until she finally reached down and gently stroked my hand. "Ethan, you're my husband, not my prisoner. I told you, I don't micromanage you because I want to lock you away. I do it because I'm terrified something bad will happen to you." I just buried my face in her sweet-smelling hair, holding her even tighter without saying a word. From now on, her voice dropped to a soft, vulnerable whisper. "Just talk to me if anything is weighing on your mind. Don't just keep all that stress bottled up inside, because if you break down from bottling everything up, I'll just have to replace you." I couldn't help it. A genuine, hearty laugh slipped out. "Replace me? Oh, really?" I teased. "Would you honestly have the heart to do that to me?" She turned around in my arms, reaching up to playfully pinch my cheek. "No, I wouldn't," she smiled softly. "So please, don't ever give me a reason to." Smiling back, I leaned down and gently kissed her. She didn't pull away. Instead, she wrapped her arms tight around my neck and kissed me right back. And this time, finally, there wasn't a single soul around to ruin the moment. Honestly, after that, my brain short-circuited. I couldn't even tell you how we stumbled our way into the bedroom. All I knew was that the curtains were left half open, and the sky outside was just exploding with the bright flashes of New Year's fireworks. The flickering light danced across her face, completely melting away that icy exterior she usually wears. "Ethan," her voice was a little breathy, almost a whisper. "You really almost ran away today." "I didn't," I replied softly. "Are you going to run away from me in the future?" she asked. "Not anymore." She just stared at me, her eyes shining with unshed tears that stubbornly refused to fall. "If you ever dare to run away again," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly, "I swear, I'll stuff Lily's giant, fat tiger plushie right into your blanket." I couldn't help but smile at that. "Wow, that cruel?" I teased. "Oh, I can be way crueler. Care to test your luck?" I leaned down, my lips barely brushing against her ear. "Bring it on." Right on cue, a massive firework boomed outside the window, washing half the bedroom in brilliant color. Reaching out, she clicked off the bedside lamp. In the absolute dark, her soft voice floated over to me. "Ethan? Happy New Year, dummy. Happy New Year." She didn't say another word, just snuggled a little deeper into my chest. Holding her like that, feeling her warmth, it hit me all the hell I went through over these past 3 years was 100% worth it. I have no clue how long we laid there, but just as I was finally drifting off into a peaceful sleep, buzzy, my phone suddenly buzzed against the nightstand. Squinting against the sudden glare, I blindly reached out and grabbed it. It was a WeChat message from my mother-in-law, Karen. "Ethan, Mom can't sleep. I need to talk to you about something important. First thing tomorrow morning, your father and I want to sit down and have a serious talk with you both regarding Lily." I just stared at the screen, completely stunned. I glanced down at Olivia, who was already out cold in my arms. "Talk about what regarding our daughter?" I quickly typed back. "Okay, Mom, what time tomorrow?" Karen replied, "Around 9 o'clock. We'll wait until you kids wake up." Staring at that glowing text, a heavy, sinking feeling hit the pit of my stomach, a seriously bad omen. See, Karen is the kind of woman who fires from the hip. Blunt, direct, no filter. She absolutely never just casually asks to have a talk. The moment those words come out of her mouth, it is practically a guarantee that trouble is brewing. It is never good news. The last time she wanted to talk, she cornered us to aggressively demand a second grandchild. The time before that, she interrogated me to see if I was cheating behind Olivia's back. And the time before that, well, right as my mind was spiraling, the phone vibrated in my hand again. "Karen again. Do not tell Olivia about this. Mom wants to speak with you alone first." "Oh, fantastic. This is definitely going to be an absolute disaster." I looked back down at Olivia's peaceful face. She was sleeping so deeply, blissfully unaware of the absolute storm waiting to wreck us in the morning. Outside, another bright firework exploded in the sky. I pulled her in tighter, but my mind was racing. Sleep was officially off the table. What on earth did Karen want to talk about? What could possibly be so urgent regarding little Lily? Was she seriously going to hound us about having baby number 2 again? No, that didn't make sense. If it was just about a second kid, she wouldn't need to isolate me in private first. Then what the hell could it be? I racked my brain for what felt like hours, but I kept coming up totally blank. Eventually, I just had to force myself to let it go. There was no point stressing now. I'd have to face the music tomorrow no matter what. Worst case scenario, she chews me out again. Hey, I've spent the last 3 years getting treated like a punching bag anyway. I'm practically immune to it by now. The woman in my arms shifted softly, mumbling some incoherent, cute nonsense before settling right back into a deep sleep. I gently rubbed her back and forced my eyes shut. Whatever incoming bomb Karen was dropping, I'd handle it tomorrow. Tonight, I was just going to soak in the fact that I actually survived this crazy year. Fast forward to 8:05 a.m., I was sitting rigidly at the dining table, my heart hammering in my chest like a criminal who just got caught red-handed. Olivia was humming in the kitchen, casually warming up some milk. Meanwhile, little Lily was leaning heavily against my leg, happily munching away on a steamed bun. Karen and her husband, Richard, sat directly across from me. Karen had this massive, unsettling smile plastered on her face, while Richard sat there like an absolute stone statue, completely unreadable. The table was practically groaning under a mountain of breakfast food, but no one had touched a single bite. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Honestly, even a toddler like Lily could sense the weird vibes. She stopped chomping and started chewing her little bun way more quietly than usual, like she was afraid of setting someone off. Her big dark eyes darted nervously around the table, scanning each of our faces. So, Mom. Olivia broke the silence, stepping out of the kitchen with a fresh glass of milk. You specifically mentioned last night that you had something important to discuss. So, what's up? Karen immediately locked eyes with me. My stomach completely dropped. The memory of that WeChat message from last night was practically burning a hole in my pocket. Do not tell Olivia. Mom wants to speak with you alone first. But I never even got a split second to pull Karen aside. The very second I cracked my eyes open this morning, Olivia was already up and moving. Next thing I knew, Lily was throwing the bedroom door open and jumping on the bed. And so, here we were, the entire family trapped in this suffocating standoff at the breakfast table. Ahem, yes. Karen cleared her throat, squaring her shoulders. Well, it's like this. Your father and I stayed up discussing things last night, and we came up with an idea. We just wanted to get your thoughts on the matter first. Olivia casually sat down, took a slow sip of her milk, and asked, This is about Lily, right? My grip tightened painfully under the table. Olivia shot me a quick, confused look before turning back to her mother. What about Lily? Isn't our daughter already 3 years old? Karen's smile grew sickeningly sweet. Yes, and she is about to start preschool very soon. So, I've been doing some serious thinking about her name. Wait, what exactly is wrong with her name? Olivia's tone went dead serious as she slowly slammed her glass of milk down onto the table. Listen, Lily is a perfectly fine name, Karen stated coldly. But your father and I feel that since she's the future heir to our family's massive empire, her last name needs to reflect that. Instantly, my wife Olivia's expression darkened. My heart absolutely skipped a beat. Was this the moment they finally pushed me out? Karen didn't miss a beat. Taking the name Stone is fine, but the way her middle name sounds in Chinese, it makes it feel like she's constantly longing for someone. So, my point is, why don't we just change it to Lillian? Keep it simple. Keep it grand. I absolutely froze in my seat. Wait, did they really just want to change her name? For a second, I thought I was safe. They weren't pressuring us for another kid. And for once, they weren't relentlessly interrogating me. I almost let out a massive sigh of relief right then and there, but the icy look on Olivia's face told me this situation was nowhere near that simple. Mom, Olivia's voice dropped dangerously low. Just say what you mean directly. The fake smile on Karen's face stiffened slightly before she shot a nervous glance over at Richard. The patriarch himself, Richard, slowly set down his chopsticks and finally spoke up. Olivia, what your mother means is that since Lily carries the Stone name, she belongs to the Stone family through and through. But you were the one who specifically chose her Chinese middle name. You claimed it was simply because you always thought of the warm summer when you were pregnant with her. But to outsiders who don't know the full story, it sounds exactly like she's constantly pining and longing for someone else. Then, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I suddenly realized what he was hinting at. Longing for someone from my Times family, because my own name carried the character for a flowing river. It's not like that at all, Dad. I desperately opened my mouth, trying to explain myself as the underdog in this suffocating household. but Richard sharply raised his hand, cutting me off instantly. Ethan, I know your name is technically different from her middle name, but outsiders don't know that. Outsiders only see that this child's last name is Stone, yet her middle name carries a word for longing. Longing for what? Longing for exactly whom? It simply doesn't sound good for our empire when nasty rumors start spreading. There are zero rumors. Olivia snapped, suddenly standing up from the table. Who on earth would be bored enough to spread something completely ridiculous like that? Olivia, sit back down. Karen gave her a warning glare, but Olivia completely refused to sit. She stood tall right there, fiercely looking down at her parents from above like a protective boss. I chose Lily's name myself. It was summer when I was pregnant with our daughter, and I eagerly looked forward to her birth every single day. So, it simply means sweet anticipation. It has absolutely nothing to do with Ethan, and it certainly has nothing to do with any outsiders. For you two to suddenly bring this up out of nowhere today, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Karen and Richard exchanged a very loaded look. And then, Karen let out a heavy sigh. Olivia, let me be completely honest with you here. It's not really about the middle name at all. It's about the lineage. I was completely taken aback. The lineage? Lily's last name is already Stone. There's zero issue there, Karen pushed on. But what your father actually means is, since Lily is a Stone, she is the undeniable future heir to the Stone family. Then, as for the Miller side, she slowly looked over at me with eyes full of disdain. I completely understood now. They wanted to utterly and ruthlessly sever any connection my daughter had to the Miller family, my family. Mom, I spoke up, my voice actually sounding way steadier than I expected for a guy in my position. My parents passed away early. There's barely anyone left on the Miller side, but she still carries that Miller blood, Karen argued coldly. When Lily grows up in the future, and powerful people ask her, your dad's last name is Miller, but you're a Stone. What then? It's just what? Olivia's voice instantly turned freezing cold, dropping the temperature in the room. Plenty of children take their mother's last names nowadays. What exactly is the problem with that? There is no problem with that. Richard quickly spoke up. But the situation with the elite Stone family is vastly different. Lily is going to take over the entire Stone group in the future. Her identity must be absolutely, flawlessly clear-cut. Outsiders won't care who her father is. They'll only care about what her last name is. If her last name is Stone, she belongs to the Stone family. If she still has lingering ties to the Miller side, what ties? I furiously stood up. Dad, both of my parents are completely gone. The only people left on the Miller side are a handful of distant relatives, whom we don't even see once a year. What possible strings could Lily even have attached to them? Richard just looked at me. That cold, calculating look was exactly the same as it was 3 years ago, scrutinizing, evaluating, and treating me like cheap merchandise. Ethan, he stated flatly, I'm not targeting you. I'm strictly doing this for Lily's own good. Think about it. When she grows up, negotiates high-stakes business with people, and they ask her, President Stone, what does your father do? What exactly is she supposed to say to them? Say that her father stays at home to raise children? Say that her own father is nothing but a live-in husband? A humiliating wave of intense heat instantly rushed to my face. Bang! Olivia slapped the dining table incredibly hard. Dad! Little Lily was visibly startled by the sudden loud noise. The sweet bun dropped right from her tiny hand onto the table, and her little mouth puckered up as she prepared to cry. I quickly bent down and gently scooped her up into my arm. It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. Mommy isn't mad at you. Lily rested her little head against my shoulder and innocently whispered, Daddy, is Grandpa bullying you? I softly patted her back, swallowing the bitter lump in my throat. But I didn't say a single word. Olivia marched right around the table, standing fiercely next to me like a shield as she glared at her parents. What exactly do you two want to say today? Spit it out. Spit it out. Quit beating around the bush. Karen snapped, jumping to her feet and yanking on Richard's arm to stop him. Richard, please, just stop talking. But Richard violently shook off her hand, his cold gaze piercing right through Olivia and me. Fine, you want it blunt? Here it is. What I mean is this. From this second forward, Lily has absolutely zero connection to the Miller family. Her last name is Stone. She is a child of the Stone bloodline. And as for Ethan, his icy stare locked onto me. Clutching Lily tight to my chest, I braced myself for the blow. Ethan, you've lived under our roof for 3 years, and I've never made your life a living hell. But let's get one thing straight. You are nothing but a live-in husband. Do you even grasp what being a live-in husband actually means? It means you belong to the Stone family now. We own you. Whatever your last name used to be is completely irrelevant. Your pathetic lineage doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that you learn your damn place. My arms wrapped around my daughter, my grip tightening on instinct. My place? I echoed, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Richard sneered. Yes, you are Lily's father, and nobody can erase that biological fact. But let's be crystal clear about reality. Lily is the sole heir to the Stone Empire, not the dirt-poor Miller family. From now on, the Stone family calls the shots regarding her entire life. Your only job is to sit back, shut up, and cooperate. The room plunged into a suffocating, dead silence. Breaking the tension, Lily leaned close, her tiny voice trembling against my ear. Daddy, what does Grandpa mean? I couldn't even form a response. Suddenly, Olivia stepped in, gently pulling Lily from my arms and passing her straight to her mother. Mom, take Lily up to her room, now. Karen took the little girl, her mouth opening as if to protest, but the heavy tension silenced her. Just go, Olivia commanded. Without another word, Karen scurried away with my daughter. The heavy oak doors clicked shut, leaving only the three of us drowning in the living room's toxic atmosphere. Olivia locked eyes with her father, her voice dripping with absolute venom as she emphasized every single syllable. Dad, do you have any idea what you just said? Richard furrowed his brow, completely unbothered. Of course I know. No, you really don't. Olivia took an aggressive step forward, closing the distance. You just said you want Lily to sever all ties with the Miller bloodline. So what? It's not like there's anyone left on the Miller side to care anyway, Richard scoffed. But then you ordered Ethan to know his place. What exactly is his place, Dad? He is Lily's father. He is your son-in-law, and he is my husband. Aside from those facts, what other sick, twisted place is he supposed to fit into? Olivia, calm down. Don't get so hysterical. I am not hysterical. Her voice dropped to a terrifying, deadpan flatline. I just want you to make your little speech perfectly clear for us. What kind of place are you trying to force him into? A pathetic live-in husband? A useless freeloader? Just some second-class citizen trapped in the Stone household? Richard's face instantly darkened with rage. When did I ever call him second class? Didn't your little speech imply exactly that? Olivia didn't back down, her glare burning right through him. What exactly did you mean by he just needs to cooperate? He is the father of my child. What gives you the right to strip away his authority and tell him to just cooperate? I have the right because Lily's last name is Stone. And what the hell is wrong with her last name being Stone? Does carrying the Stone name magically erase the fact that she is his own flesh and blood? The tension was suffocating. 3 years of grinding through the humiliation of being a live-in husband, only for divorce threats to shatter our New Year's Eve. Richard took a long, heavy breath. Olivia, for God's sake, let me finish. Fine. Speak. Richard hesitated, the arrogance cracking just a fraction. I am just trying to prevent future disasters. Look, even though his immediate family is gone, Ethan still has relatives out there, right? Distant blood is still blood. What happens when they drag Lily's name through the mud to extort us for cash or beg for handouts? Finally, I found my voice. Dad, it has been 3 years. In all that time, have you seen a single one of those so-called relatives come knocking on your door looking for me? Richard let out a dry, awkward chuckle. Well, no, exactly, I shot back. And that's because they are dead to me. When my parents died, did any of them lift a finger to help? Absolutely not. When I swallowed my pride to marry into your family, did they offer a single word of blessing? No. I severed those ties years ago. Richard stared at me, a complicated, almost guilty flicker passing through his harsh eyes. Therefore, I pressed on, my voice steady. Your paranoid little nightmare is never going to happen. A heavy silence dragged out before Richard finally sighed. Ethan, look, I'm not trying to target you personally. I know you're not, I replied. I'm only doing this for Lily's own good, he added. I know that too. But Dad, I locked eyes with my father-in-law. The words you just spat at me, they actually hurt. Richard opened his mouth, then clamped it shut, speechless. Without hesitating, Olivia crossed the room and tightly grabbed my hand. Her fingers were ice cold, shaking with adrenaline. I am putting my foot down right here, right now, she declared. Lily is my daughter, and Ethan is my husband. We are a family. You and Mom gave me life, and we respect you both. But I will be damned if I let you use my own daughter as a weapon to belittle my husband. Richard flinched, genuinely taken aback. When did I ever try to belittle him? Every single word you just said was meant to crush him. Olivia fired back, ordering him to recognize his place. His place is already crystal clear. He doesn't need your cruel reminders. But since you seem so painfully confused, let me spell it out for you. Ethan is my husband, and Lily is his daughter. In this house, his word carries exactly as much power as mine. I stared at Olivia, a massive wave of emotion suddenly crashing through my chest, lighting a fire in my underdog heart. Richard stared at his fierce daughter, utterly defeated and robbed of his speech. Finally, the arrogant patriarch slumped his shoulders and let out a heavy sigh. Fine. Just consider it an old man's foolish meddling. With that, he turned his back on us and retreated toward the guest room, leaving us standing strong. Halfway down the hall, the old man suddenly froze. He shot a heavy glance over his shoulder. "Ethan," he muttered, "just pretend I never said those words just now." I gave a tight nod as he vanished into the guest room. The heavy wooden door clicked shut, leaving just Olivia and me alone in the suffocating quiet of the living room. She slowly released my hand, turning to face me. Her eyes held an unreadable storm of emotion. "Olivia," I started, but before I could finish, she suddenly lunged forward and threw her arms around me. I stood there, completely taken aback for a second, before tightly wrapping my arms around her trembling frame. "Ethan," she whispered, burying her face deep into my chest, her voice muffled and vulnerable. "Please, don't take it to heart. It's fine. My dad, he's just a tough-talking guy with a soft heart. He really didn't mean it, I know," I replied softly. She tilted her head up, searching my eyes. "Do you really know?" Looking down at her anxious face, a sudden smile broke across mine. "Olivia, are you actually afraid I'm going to cut and run?" She shot me a fierce, pouty glare. "I'm asking you a serious question, and I'm telling you, I'm not running away, I promise. Look, I didn't run away even when your dad was tearing into me just a minute ago, so there is absolutely zero chance I'm running away now." She stared up at me, tears shimmering dangerously in her eyes, refusing to fall. "Ethan, if you ever dare to run away, you'll get Lily's giant fat tiger doll stuffed right into your blanket." I finished the sentence for her with a warm chuckle. I know. Hearing that, a genuine relieved smile finally broke through her tears. That single smile completely washed away the lingering, suffocating heaviness in my chest. We were still wrapped in that tight embrace when my mother-in-law, Karen, walked out of the room carrying little Lily. Ahem. Karen let out a very loud, incredibly awkward fake cough, making us jump and separate in an instant. Lily immediately wriggled down from Karen's arms and pitter-pattered right over to us. Tilting her adorable little face up, she asked, "Daddy? Mommy? Were you guys kissing again?" Olivia's face instantly flushed, a bright cherry red. No, we absolutely didn't." "Then why were you guys hugging?" Lily pressed. "Because," Olivia stammered, completely tongue-tied and totally busted. I chuckled, squatting down to meet my daughter's gaze. "Because Daddy just got a big scary lecture from Grandpa, and Mommy was just comforting Daddy." Lily's tiny eyebrows furrowed together in utter confusion. "Why did Grandpa lecture you?" "Well, because Grandpa is just really worried about a few things." "What kind of things?" "Grown-up business, sweetie." Lily chewed on that for a second. Then, without warning, she spun around, charged straight at the guest room door, and started pounding on it with her tiny fists. "Grandpa, come out here right now!" The heavy door slowly creaked open, and Richard looked down at the fierce little girl. "What's wrong, Pumpkin? You are not allowed to bully my daddy," Lily yelled, tilting her chin up defiantly, her tiny hands planted firmly on her hips. "He is my daddy. If you ever bully him again, I am never, ever talking to you again." The big, intimidating Richard just stood there, completely and utterly stunned by this pint-sized threat. Karen couldn't help but burst into laughter from the sidelines, and Olivia broke into a bright smile. Watching my brave little girl defend me, my heart instantly melted into absolute mush. Defeated, Richard squatted down to her eye level. "Sweetheart, Grandpa didn't bully your daddy. Then why did you lecture him so meanly?" "Grandpa was just having a normal chat with him, that's all." Lily narrowed her eyes. "If it was just a chat, then why did Daddy need to be comforted so much?" Richard opened his mouth to defend himself, but nothing came out. The fierce patriarch of the family was completely speechless, destroyed by a toddler's ironclad logic. Lily wasn't finished. "Daddy reads me stories every single day. He sleeps by my side, and he always takes me out to play. He is the greatest daddy ever in the whole world. Grandpa, you are never allowed to talk bad about him." Richard shot me a complicated, unexplainable look. Sighing, he slowly stood up, closed the distance between us, and muttered, "Ethan, listen, regarding what Dad said just now." He paused, swallowing his immense pride for a brief second. My words back there were indeed a bit too heavy. "Don't take it to heart, son." I looked back into his eyes, suddenly realizing this intimidating old man wasn't actually that terrifying after all. "It's totally fine," I replied calmly. He gave a stiff nod, said absolutely nothing more, and retreated back into the safety of the guest room. Smiling warmly, Karen walked right over and gave my arm an encouraging pat. "Ethan, you know your dad is just grumpy like that. Don't even stoop to his level." "Mom, I know, it's okay. Good. As long as you know, she said, her smile widening. All right, crisis averted. Everything's fine now. You two go on and do whatever you need to do. I'm going to take Lily out to play for a bit. Ooh, Grandma, where are you taking me? Lily instantly perked up, her eyes sparkling like stars. To the amusement park. Do you want to go? Squealing with joy, Lily dashed back into her room to grab her beloved fat tiger doll, with Karen trailing happily right behind her. Once again, the living room fell quiet, leaving just Olivia and me. She stepped closer, her eyes searching mine. Are you really okay? Like, genuinely okay? Of course I am. Why did you just— Before I could even finish my sentence, she suddenly reached up and mercilessly pinched my cheek, because with that sad puppy expression you had earlier, I seriously thought you were about to cry. I quickly grabbed her mischievous hand. Hey, I wasn't going to cry. Oh, really? Yes, really. She leaned in dangerously close, her voice dropping to a tease. I totally saw your eyes turning red, Mr. Tough Guy. I stubbornly looked away, refusing to admit defeat. You saw wrong. She let out a triumphant little laugh, pulling her hand back. Fine, fine. I guess I saw wrong. She turned and strutted toward the master bedroom, and I naturally followed right behind her. But the moment we crossed the threshold, she suddenly spun around, aggressively pinning me straight against the closed door. Ethan? She whispered intensely. I hummed. Trapped. If my dad ever dares to say that kind of toxic garbage to you again in the future, do not just hold it all in. I wasn't holding anything in, I argued weakly. Yes, you were. She stared dead into my soul, that pained expression you had just now. That was the exact textbook look of a man silently taking a beating. I fell completely silent. Softening, she gently raised her hand to cup my cheek. Listen to me. You are my husband. You are not some random guy brought into the Stone family just to be their emotional punching bag. I mean it, Ethan. If my dad ever spits out that kind of awful stuff again, I want you to fire right back at him without hesitation. And hey, if you can't beat that stubborn old mule in an argument, I will step in and help you fire back. I stared down at my fierce, protective wife, the absolute warmth in my chest dangerously close to overflowing. Olivia, I murmured softly. Today, you look exceptionally beautiful today. She totally froze for a second, a deep blush creeping up her neck, before bursting into a flustered laugh. Oh, shut up, cut it out. I'm being completely serious here, I teased. She immediately shot me another fierce glare, but honestly, with those flushed cheeks and that bright smile, that glare carried absolutely zero intimidation factor. I leaned in close, my heart pounding as I went in for a kiss, but she suddenly pressed her palm against my lips. Wait a sec, she whispered. What's wrong? I asked. Lily is still in the house, she murmured. She and Mom are heading out to the amusement park any minute now. We should at least wait until they're gone. A slow smile spread across my face as I looked deep into her eyes. What are you so scared of? I'm not scared, she shot back defensively. Then what exactly are we waiting for? I teased. She didn't say a word. She just stared up at me, a brilliant, fiery spark dancing in her eyes. Suddenly, Karen's voice echoed from the hallway. Lily, put your shoes on the right way. We are heading out right now. Coming, the little girl yelled back. A heavy click echoed as the front door finally shut tight. Instantly, the entire house sank into a deep, heavy silence. Olivia locked eyes with me. Now, she breathed. Without missing a beat, I leaned down and captured her lips with mine. Afterward, I completely lost track of how much time had slipped away. All I knew was the gentle flutter of the curtains in the warm breeze, and the golden sunlight streaming in, painting soft, scattered shadows across the bedroom floor. She lay nestled right there beside me, her beautiful hair tangled across the pillow, a faint, glowing sheen of sweat on her skin. Ethan, she whispered, were you especially moved today? That totally caught me off guard for a second, but a genuine smile broke through. How could you tell? Because the way you were looking at me just now, Olivia whispered, turning her face to meet my eyes, was completely different from your usual look. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, and how exactly was it different? Usually it feels like you're staring at your boss, she teased softly. But today it actually looked like you were looking at your wife. I couldn't help it. I completely burst out laughing right then and there. Wait, did I seriously not look like I was gazing at my own wife before this? I chuckled. You did before, too, she admitted, pausing to think about it for a second. But today, that feeling was just incredibly strong. My heart skipped a beat at her words. I gently rolled over, propping myself up right above her, and gazed deeply down into her beautiful face. She looked right back up into my eyes without looking away. Olivia? I murmured. Hmm? She hummed softly. Thank you. Thank you for fiercely protecting me like that just a moment ago. A tender, affectionate smile crossed her lips as she reached out and playfully pinched my cheek. Silly, you are my husband. If I don't step up and protect you, who else am I supposed to protect? Touched by her unyielding loyalty, I leaned in close, desperately wanting to kiss her again, but she suddenly shot her hand up and blocked my lips. Hold on a second. Wait, she said. What is it now? I groaned in frustration. Your phone just chimed. I completely froze in place for a second before turning my head to glare toward the nightstand. Sure enough, the screen was glowing brightly in the dim room. A new WeChat notification had just popped up. Sighing heavily, I reached out to grab the device and check the damage. Karen had sent a message. Ethan, Mom is out having a nice, long lunch with Lily. We definitely will not be back until the late afternoon. You two, just take your time and have a very good rest. Oh, and by the way, your dad specifically asked me to apologize to you. The old man just couldn't bring himself to face you directly, so I am delivering the apology on his behalf. Just staring blankly at that highly convenient WeChat message, I suddenly felt the undeniable urge to laugh out loud at the absolute absurdity of the timing. Olivia curiously leaned over my arm to take a quick glance at the glowing screen and instantly smiled. Wow, your mom is really... She trailed off, not even needing to finish her sentence. She is purposely creating a golden opportunity for the two of us to be totally alone. I finished the thought for her. She immediately shot me a warning glare, but her eyes were betraying a warm, unmistakable smile. I tossed the phone back onto the table and looked down at her with a smirk. Well, it looks like absolutely no one is going to disturb us now. She raised a teasing eyebrow. Oh? And then what? I didn't bother answering her with words. Outside the window, a soft, gentle breeze picked up, and the bedroom curtains slowly began to flutter rhythmically in the quiet afternoon air. Right at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Lily finally came back home. The absolute second the front door clicked open, the energetic little girl rushed inside, frantically searching all over the entire house for her parent. "Daddy! Mommy! I am back home!" she yelled happily. Olivia and I casually strolled out of the master bedroom, with one of us dressed in baggy loungewear and the other quickly thrown into loose pajamas. We were both desperately trying to pretend as if we had genuinely just woken up from a deep slumber. Lily sprinted right up to our legs, tilting her sweet little face up to look at us. "Did you guys take a really long nap?" she asked. Olivia replied as she squatted down to her level. "I slept for just a little bit. I took a big nap too," Lily announced proudly. "I slept right in Grandma's car." Karen trailed right behind her inside the house, looking at the two of us with an incredibly knowing, beaming smile. "So, did you two sleep well?" she teased, causing Olivia's face to flush a bright, embarrassed shade of pink. "Mom, please," Olivia groaned shyly. All right, I promise I will not say another word about it." Karen laughed out loud, waving her hand dismissively. "Anyway, what on earth do you guys want to eat for dinner tonight?" "I'll whip up something good for you guys," Mom announced, breaking the heavy tension. "Anything is fine," Olivia replied as she stood up. "But what about Ethan?" Karen directed the question right at me. I shot a quick glance at Olivia, who effortlessly answered for me. "Whatever is fine for him too." Karen flashed a warm smile. "All right, then I'll just make a little bit of everything." She headed off into the kitchen. Richard followed right behind her, but as he passed by me, he suddenly stopped dead in his tracks. "Ethan? Yeah, Dad?" He locked eyes with me, opening his mouth like he was struggling to force the words out. But instead of saying whatever heavy thought was on his mind, he just gave my shoulder a firm, reassuring pat. He didn't utter a single word, just silently continued into the kitchen. I stood there, totally stunned, staring at his retreating back. It hit me right then the way the old man looked at me today felt completely different from the cold glares I was used to getting. Suddenly, Lily tugged at my hand. "Daddy, come watch cartoons with me. You got it, kiddo." I scooped her up into my arms and headed straight for the living room, with Olivia following right behind us. With the television blasting some colorful animations, Lily snuggled deep into my chest, tightly clutching her chubby tiger plushie. Olivia sank into the couch right next to me. She rested her hand gently on my leg. Golden sunlight poured in through the window at a perfect angle, wrapping the entire living room in this crazy, warm, comforting vibe. "Daddy?" Lily suddenly piped up, breaking the cozy silence. "Yeah, sweetie. Is Grandpa still gonna yell at you in the future?" I completely froze, caught totally off guard. Olivia whipped her head around to look at her too, as Lily tilted her adorable little face up. She stared dead into my eyes with absolute, fierce seriousness. "If Grandpa tries to lecture you again, I'm gonna step up and protect you." Man, my heart absolutely melted into a puddle, and I squeezed her just a little bit tighter. "Okay, it's a deal," And mommy will protect you too, Lily chimed in. Mommy is super strong. Even Grandpa is terrified of her, my little girl declared. Olivia just smiled warmly. How could I possibly be that strong? But Lily nodded with absolute deadpan seriousness. When you get mad, Mom, even Grandpa doesn't dare to breathe a word. Hearing that, Olivia and I couldn't help but exchange a knowing look. We both burst out laughing, but my sweet Lily wasn't done. So, don't be scared, Daddy. With Mommy and me protecting you, absolutely no one will ever dare to bully you. I looked down at my brave little defender, the warmth in my chest practically overflowing. Okay, I told her softly. Daddy isn't scared anymore. Completely satisfied, Lily nodded her little head and went right back to watching her favorite cartoon. Beside me, Olivia reached over, giving my leg a gentle, playful squeeze. I turned my head to look at my gorgeous wife. She wasn't making eye contact, but the corners of her mouth were curled up into a beautiful, undeniable smile. In that quiet moment, I suddenly realized this underdog life of mine was actually pretty damn wonderful. Later that evening, right after we finished a massive family dinner, Karen and Richard were finally getting ready to head back home. At the front door, my mother-in-law Karen gently took my hand. Ethan, please don't take what happened this morning to heart. Your dad just has a ridiculously sharp tongue, but deep down, he really didn't mean any harm. I smiled gently at her. Mom, I know. As long as you understand that. She patted my hand reassuringly. Listen to me. If you ever need absolutely anything in the future, just tell Mom. I will always have your back. I nodded gratefully. Meanwhile, Richard stood off to the side, silently watching me for a tense moment before finally speaking up. Ethan, look, about today. He paused awkwardly, stumbling over his own words. I spoke without thinking. I just looked at the old man, patiently waiting for him to continue his rare apology. He opened his mouth, clearly struggling to say something more profound, but in the end, he just sighed. Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. Just, you two live a good life together. With that gruff blessing, he turned around and stepped straight into the elevator. Karen gave us a warm wave and quickly followed her stubborn husband inside. The heavy elevator doors finally slid shut. Olivia stood right there beside me, her eyes lingering on the spot where the elevator had just been. My dad seems a little bit different today, she murmured thoughtfully. How is he different? I asked. Well, he very rarely apologizes to absolutely anyone. She turned her head to lock eyes with me. You are literally only the third person. Oh yeah? Who were the first two? The first was my mom. The second was me. I couldn't help but smile. Then I guess I really have to thank our little Lily. Why thank Lily? Because if she hadn't bravely burst out and said those things earlier, your dad probably wouldn't have caved like that either. Olivia thought about my logic for a brief moment, then nodded in total agreement. You know what? That is completely true. She spun around and walked back into our cozy apartment, and I followed closely behind her. The second we stepped through the door, we saw that Lily had already climbed onto the big sofa all by herself. Catching sight of us coming back in, she enthusiastically patted the empty cushion right next to her. Daddy, Mommy, hurry up. Come over here and watch TV with me. Olivia and I happily walked over, sitting down right on either side of our little girl. The TV was blasting loud cartoons, and Lily was watching with intense, wide-eyed focus. Olivia sighed happily and leaned her head against my shoulder, her soft hand resting naturally right on my leg. I wrapped my arm securely around her waist as I stared at the bright screen, my mind suddenly flashing back to the crazy whirlwind of events that had happened today. From that tense, nerve-wracking showdown this morning, to the sweet family time this afternoon, all the way to that shocking apology this evening. This entire day had truly felt like one massive, emotional roller coaster ride. Ethan. Olivia suddenly broke the comfortable silence. I replied softly. Tell me, are you actually happy today? I mulled over her question for a split second, then looked down into her deep, beautiful eyes. Happy? You're asking if I'm really happy? Yes, really, she pressed. Well, even though I got totally chewed out by your dad this morning, but right afterward, what? She whispered. I leaned in dangerously close to her ear, dropping my voice to a teasing, husky murmur. Didn't I get thoroughly comforted by my amazing wife right afterward? Instantly, the tips of her ears burned a bright, flustered red, and she reached out, giving my waist a sharp, punishing pinch. I hissed in dramatic pain, but I absolutely refused to pull away from her touch. Just then, our little girl suddenly whipped her head around. Daddy, Mommy, what kind of sneaky little secrets are you two whispering about back there? Oh, it's absolutely nothing, sweetie, Olivia instantly replied, keeping her facial expression totally deadpan. Daddy just said that he's getting super sleepy. Then you should go right to sleep, Daddy, Lily commanded cutely. There's no rush, I quickly replied with a chuckle. I'm definitely going to finish watching this awesome episode with you first. Totally satisfied with my answer, Lily nodded her tiny head and whipped right back around to stare at the glowing TV screen. Olivia glanced up at me, a deep, unmistakable smile shining brightly in her gorgeous eyes. I just smiled softly right back at her, feeling luckier than ever. Outside our living room window, another massive firework violently erupted into the night sky, casting vibrant, multicolored lights inside and perfectly illuminating my wife's stunning face. "Hey, Olivia," I whispered. Happy New Year, my love." She was genuinely taken aback for a quick second, but then let out a sweet musical laugh. "Babe, it's already the day after New Year's Eve, and you're really still wishing me a Happy New Year? Hey, as long as the first lunar month isn't completely over, it technically still counts as the New Year," I argued with a cheeky grin. She just smiled warmly and shook her head in defeat, leaning her comfortable weight right back against my sturdy shoulder. "All right, fair enough," she conceded softly. "Happy New Year to you too, Ethan." I held her just a little bit tighter against my chest. But then, Lily suddenly chimed in out of nowhere. "Daddy, Mommy, I want a Happy New Year too." Startled, Olivia and I looked down at our demanding little princess at the exact same time. "Well then, a very Happy New Year to you too, kiddo," Olivia said with a motherly grin. "Awesome. Then where's my big fat red envelope?" Olivia was completely stunned into silence, and I just threw my head back and burst out laughing. This little girl of ours might interrupt our romantic moments at the absolute worst times, but man, when it came to asking for cold hard cash, she wasn't shy in the slightest. "Don't worry, you little gold digger. I'll give it to you tomorrow morning," Olivia promised with an exasperated sigh. "Really?" "Yes, really. Pinky promised me." Olivia reached her hand out to lock pinkies with our stubborn daughter, and with that sacred vow, Lily was finally satisfied, turning her attention back to the blazing TV. Sitting there, quietly looking at this beautiful mother and daughter duo who had entirely claimed my heart, I suddenly felt with absolute certainty that surviving the hell of these past 3 years had been 100% worth it. Suddenly, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. I yanked it out to check the glowing screen. It was an urgent WeChat message from Brian. "Ethan, I just received the $30,000 today. Seriously. Thank you so much for saving my neck last night. If you ever need absolutely anything in the future, just say the word." I typed back a casual, "Sure thing." Beside me, Olivia glanced over. "Did that guy actually pay you back?" I nodded. "Well, it's about damn time." She rolled her eyes and withdrew her gaze. "Next time he comes begging to borrow cash, just ice him out. Got it?" She didn't say another word, just settled warmly against my shoulder. The goofy cartoon blaring on the TV, the loud crackle of fireworks outside the window, and Lily's sweet little giggles all blurred together, becoming the absolute perfect soundtrack to the best night of my life. My mind suddenly flashed back to New Year's Eve, 3 years ago. Back then, I was just the clueless underdog who had married into the family, sitting all alone in this exact same living room, staring blankly at the fireworks bursting outside the window, feeling completely terrified about what my future would even look like. But today, 3 years later, I was sitting right here, with my gorgeous wife resting on my shoulder, and my amazing daughter watching TV right beside me. Sure, I still got completely chewed out by my grumpy father-in-law this morning, and yeah, my life is still micromanaged to the point where I sometimes feel a little suffocated. But honestly, this life is truly incredibly wonderful. "Ethan," Olivia's soft voice broke the silence. I hummed. "Let's spend every single New Year's Eve exactly like this from now on." I looked down at her with a soft smile. "Deal. Pinky promise." I reached out, hooking my pinky finger tightly with hers. Spotting us, Lily eagerly thrust her little hand over. "Hey, I want to join in too." And just like that, our 3 hands hooked tightly together. The end. Hey guys, please drop a huge like and hit that follow button. This account will keep bringing you all the best web novel and comic updates.